Whoa! Whoa! Says here there's a potato shortage. We better get to the store. Potato shortage. Plenty of spuds. $1.49. $1.49 for sweet potatoes. $1.99. This doesn't look like a potato shortage to me. Hey. Good. Where's this great big potato shortage I've been hearing about?
Yeah, it's everybody's suffering. We can't get the big bakers, but come September it should be harvested.
The big Yukon Gold ones?
Well, I can get those little Yukons over there, but
Yeah.
I can't get the big russets, the big Idaho russets right now.
Prices aren't bad though.
They're all right.
Folks get hungry enough. They just go right back to the Idaho, man.
Some folks. Some will do it.
All right, I'll make a hard decision here.
All right.
All right, so some shortage.
Ashton, can you come to the front of the store, please, Ashton?
Little creamers. Can't take it serious. We're gonna make bacon fries out of the little russets, man. These are the bomb. They're clean already. They're delicious. They're light. One more. Ooh. Oh yeah. I maintain a pretty good relationship with my local grocer. They give me great advice and have some love for the produce guys. They work about as hard as anybody can for an honest living. Ooh, chili peppers. We're going to start with our mise en place, getting everything in place, our preps. Wash your hands, sanitize your cutting board, and check your equipment. A dull knife is a dangerous knife. I've done 10,000, maybe 20,000 onions, and I always take the same precautions every time. These are great little white onions that have a lot of sugar in them, and one of the things that I've really learned how to do is to lightly blanch my onions to bring the most of their flavor out in them. I keep a bowl in the sink for my trim. I want the size of the onion to be fairly large to match what I'm doing with the potatoes. If you want to go with something a little more rough, go with a large cut. A little bit smaller, fine dice. But the finer you chop the onions, the quicker they're going to cook and the more they'll overcook. So there's a fine line to be had for both. As part of our mise en place, we're going to lightly blanch our onions. Allows us to get the most flavor out of them and a good meaty cooked onion. And we're going to do the same thing to our big box store bacon bits that we like to use. And since it's YouTube, I got to use a pretty see-through glass bowl. I use a bare minimum amount of water because I don't want to wash away any of this flavor unnecessarily. So I'll put all my bacon bits, my onions, in my well boiling water. You'll see it'll collapse the boil right away. And I'll give them a stir. I'm not trying to break them apart. I just want them to let go of each other. We're not going to leave them in there too long, but just long enough again to get the sugars to come to the edge. And then at the same time, I'm going to put a handful of my bacon bits for the last few seconds. And I think you can use too much bacon, even though I know most of the internet would disagree with me. Same thing, I'm going to give it a good stir, just long enough to rehydrate those and bring them back to life a little bit. Now literally that quick is all it takes. Don't waste any. Put my pan underneath to catch my drip and set it aside. Since we're going to use these right away, there's no need to refrigerate them or to shock them cool. If I wanted to save them for later, I'd spread them out on a cold plate or a cold sheet pan, put them in the fridge to shock them cold, and then hold them for later. Great trick if you're prepping for a large holiday meal to stay ahead of the game. So here's our spuds we got yesterday from Bash's, your Arizona hometown grocer. That I got 3.19 pounds at $1.49 a pound, $4.75 for a small bag of potatoes. It's not the worst price, but it's no bargain. and Bash's is selling them for the same price as everybody else. Now, I've washed my spuds, and many of us doing home fries, especially with such a clean potato, may not want to peel it. But I want to do a quick tutorial on peeling potatoes, even though I'm going to leave the skins on most of these. I tend to find the top and the bottom, the north and south pole, you can tell by the stem edge, and there's this thin side. I will take my peeler with my thumb and start and go all the way around that thin side, north to south pole, and get one peel. At that point, you can come back and clean off that face. Most peelers have these little eye things put in. You can get that out of there. I missed a little section, and then do the other hemisphere here. There's no need to sit there and whittle away at it like you're trying to carve a woodshop project, but that's about all it takes. Now that I peeled this, it needs to go in some cold water. If you want some of the skins but you still want to clean them up, maybe you just go from that north pole around the skinny side to the south pole. That gets you some of the skins off of there, cleans them up, but you still get that home fry rustic look. I remember when all the fast food restaurants used to start doing the skin on fries, trying to act like it was some kind of big fad, when all it was is them figuring out a way to sell you potato skins and maximize their revenue. I'm not criticizing them. I thought it was brilliant. Now, the size you cut your home fries for this, they shouldn't be too big, shouldn't be too small. They need to be like Goldilocks and just right. But the key is, no matter what size you decide to cut them, make them all as close as you can to about the same mass. Means they won't all have the same shape, but if you can get these where they are relatively the same mass, they will all cook pretty evenly, which means you won't have overcooked potatoes when you go to put them to the next step. And if you wanted to do mashed potatoes from this, you could. So there is the mass that I'm going for. And I know they're not all going to be that size. It's impossible with a non-cubical shape, but we're going to come as close as we can. This is important. Now, a lot of you have noticed I'm crossing over my knife, which is generally a no-no for safe knife handling practices, especially something as starchy and sticky as a potato when my hands at my board and my knife are wet. I've been handling chef's knives full-time since 1983, and I assume the risk involved in that, and I've been doing it so long, it's just second nature. You need to stay within your skill set and stay safe. The smartest thing you can do is the eagle claw method, where you roll your knuckles over so that your fingertips never come out where they can be in contact with the knife. And then keep a flat side down and split it up that way. I cut it by 3 that way, I cut it into thirds that way, and I cut it into thirds that way. Boom, 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 boom. So I've got all my diced potatoes sitting in cold water. I let them soak for a minute. Not only does this wash them one more time, but it gets a lot of the starch off the potato as well, which can be helpful for the next step. Let's fill this pan with just enough cold water to submerge the potatoes. And we'll put our spuds back in there and get them onto the stove. We're going to parboil them at this point. As a general rule of thumb, I'll try to put double the water that the potatoes are in there, but I start my diced, rinsed potatoes in cold water so that the temperature comes up and they're all going to cook evenly. You put these potatoes in hot water, it's going to pull all the starch out of them, your mashed potatoes are going to be gummy, and your home fries are going to be soggy. And this is what everybody looks like when you serve them soggy home fries. Sad. All right, the spuds are in cold water. They're fairly evenly diced. They're in a nice stainless steel stock pot. and we're going to turn it on and bring up the temperature together. And in case you're wondering, I hate cooking with electric. I can't wait to get gas in here. All right, they've had 10, 11 minutes to par cook. I'm going to turn this off because even if they're not completely done right now, the carryover cooking will satisfy that. But I've made these enough times that I'm pretty aware of what it is. Now, a lot of people will tell you, you can stick a fork in a potato, and if it slides off the fork, that it's par cooked. These are so light, odds are they're not going to slide off. But one of the things that I look for is, can I push it in there? Does it break the potato? And if it doesn't, does it slide off nice and easy? These meet all the criteria. Let's pick a different one, and I'll try to get you a close-up, although my little Nikon B600 doesn't do a good job of autofocus, but I might put a picture in there. And like pasta, maybe we can cut into this and see a ring around it. We want these half cooked. Okay, so the camera did a terrible job of showing the cooked ring on this, but let's try it. Yeah, that's cooked halfway. Delicious Yukon Gold potato flavor. So anybody who knows this channel knows I'm not a fan of pouring boiling water down a sink with the plastic pipes down there. I've let this come off of a full boil. I'll pour it in here slow. I don't need to just dump it all at once. And I'm running cold water at the same time. Well, I'm not a fan of wasting any water. I'm also not a fan of melting my plumbing and having a leak show up in my system. So my potatoes are here, they're drained, they're still hot, so they're carryover cooking, so we don't have a lot of time to waste. We're going to get back to the stove. We're going to use our ridiculously large saute pan, and we're going to heat this thing up. And yeah, I'll turn it on about as high as the burner will go, because I know I'm going to kill a lot of heat out of it. And you could use salt and pepper, but let me give you a great little hack for these. Montreal seasoning. Not bad stuff. See if our pan is hot enough, we'll do the little water on the fingertip sizzle trick. Now while we're not deep frying, I am using a generous amount of oil. And this poor giant saute pan is so beat up she don't sit flat on the burner anymore. I'll let the oil come to temperature. Get rid of the last of the water that I had in the pan. Protect the lens. I think my oil's come up to temp. I see a wisp of smoke coming off of it. And I'm going to lay my spuds in there knowing they're wet and they're going to splatter, but I'll lay them in away from me and kind of cover for a second. Now don't stir them right away. These homemaker ovens don't have the gas like a commercial grade oven does. They can't recover from this. Don't stir it and let it cook. I might rotate the pan around on the burner, but I won't lift it and I won't stir it. You hear it still got a good cooking action. You stir it, you'll kill all that, and all you're going to get is boiled potatoes. I forgot to turn on the exhaust hood. I got it on now, so it's going to be noisy like a commercial kitchen. Alright, it's been a couple of minutes. We're still getting a good cooking action, albeit very lightly, so I'm being very careful. Let's check one of our spuds and see what it's doing that's had good cooking surface. A piece with skin doesn't count. I'm going to rest this right here. I don't know how well we can see this in YouTube land, but it's getting a good cooked surface on it, but not the browning and the color I'm looking for yet. So I think I'm going to leave this be, and I just continue to turn the pan kind of like hands on a clock and make sure that all areas of the pan are getting heated. I'll check one other one. Good color, but no browning yet. Be patient. And while they're cooking, you know here at Yeti at Large, we're going to knock out the dishes. If you got time to lean, you got time to clean. All right, let's look one more time. Go to a new area, find a new spud to examine. There's a good one. That's finally getting a little color, and it's got a good fry, and it's coming up the edges. I'm going to give them a little stir now. And yeah, the skins are going to get dark. Now you can flip this like a fancy schmancy chef, but with this much oil in the pan, I'm not a fan of that. And if you have a nice food turner, by all means, use it. I got a fork. I'm just going to move them around. Part of why I like this is the pan never loses contact with the element. If it was a gas stove, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But since we're cooking with electric, we need all the help we can get. Let's see how much it killed my heat. We still got a sizzle. We're still in business. And don't forget, we got our onion and bacon we're still going to add. Just not yet. It'll overcook. All right, be patient. Finish those dishes. Let it cook. I get it. Y'all think I'm scared to flip it. I tain't afeared. And I'm doing this in flip-flops. I would know if I slopped grease immediately. And another tip, don't use these little shaker things that they give you, and pry those stupid things they put on top. If you're going to use spices in a recipe, portion them out into like a ramekin and then manually apply them. We're at the time now we can put our Montreal seasoning. I like to go nice and high. That way you get a good distribution and you can see how much you got on there. Don't be afraid to use some seasoning. Salt and pepper are your friend, but don't overuse them. Allow folks at the table to make their own judgments and see if they want more or less. At this point now too, we're going to add our onion and bacon prep. And as soon as you see a little color on the onions, you know we're there. I'm just going to level it out with the fork. Oh, smelling good, Billy Ray. Alrighty, I'm seeing some color on the onions. The bacon's starting to crisp up. So we're going to portion these out for service and finish them. Now, I cooked a lot of potatoes, and there's no way we're going to eat them all today, so I want to hold these for leftovers properly. It may seem a little excessive to put them on this sheet pan with a screen so they can drain and cool well, but that way we preserve as much of that crisp as we work so hard to get when we go to reheat them. But for the ones we're going to eat today, I'm going to give them a good toss to make sure they're distributed. Turn off my pan. I'll put my portion there. And I'll put my extras right there. Now I can't clean my pan right away, but it sure don't hurt to put a little bit of water in it and set it aside on a burner that's turned off. 3-second rule, it's my house. Spread those thin, and let's focus on the ones we're going to eat right now. I'm going to finish these with a little bit of parsley. And a little bit of fine grated Parmesan cheese because I can. Not much, just a touch. And we're ready to try our spuds. I had the door open enjoying the smell of the rain, but now all I can smell are these crispy potatoes with bacon and onion. These are incredible, and a little bit of patience, not turning them, keeps the fry going so they get crisp, and you're rewarded with something really special. Oh my God. This would be an amazing breakfast or a great side dish to any barbecue. And yeah, I'm eating straight out of the one portion, but we all like each other here, so we'll be okay. These don't even need ketchup.